Now we will start with a round of questions from the audience. We have first question from Daniel Montenegro. What would you recommend to students that are uncertain of which division of industrial and systems engineering they would like to pursue further?
This is kind of a pat answer, but I would ask you what your passion is, because the beauty of our profession is that you can go so many different directions. Whether it's service, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's distribution, whether it's retail. I know someone who's made a good career actually in entertainment. He's actually working as an industrial engineer in the entertainment industry, and he's using his IE skills to build a business. And the other thing I'll tell you, I know your students, most of you, and I know you're looking for that first job. But if you remember my story, I hated my first job, and I didn't know that until I got into it. But the other beautiful thing about our profession is that you're mobile, and you're able to move so many different directions. So think about where you think you want to go, and go in that direction and look for that. And if you get there and it's not what you thought it was going to be, go somewhere else, because it's not hard to find a job as an industrial engineer, and it's not hard to change careers. It's not hard to change industries. So really, you're going to have to look at the opportunities before you and decide which one you think is going to be best suited for your skills and your strengths and your desires. But don't think you're locked in. You can always change. You can always go where you want to go to be happier and to be more successful. I've done that. I certainly did not think I'd end up in nonprofits, but I've loved every minute of it. So look for your passion. And then when you get there, decide if that's really all you thought it was going to be, or there are better things available to you.
Okay. Thank you, Don. We have another question from Daniela Gonzalez. She's asking, what do you recommend to young leaders to get involved in big institutions as the IISE, and how can they help improving the world we live in, being an industrial and systems engineer? What do you recommend to young leaders?
Yeah, in terms of getting involved, I will tell you, and I told a couple of stories during my presentation. Stay engaged, get active, don't be quiet, don't sit on the sidelines. When you join IISE, there's no shortage of opportunities to engage, whether it's your local chapter, whether it's conferences. We have an international operations board that right now is being led by Gul Creamer, and they have volunteer leaders all over the world that are trying to help establish the profession and the institute in other parts of the world where you may not be as strong in. So if you get involved, there'll be chances, and you volunteer, there'll be chances for you to lead, and there'll be great opportunities for you to develop your skills that will make you more successful both in IISE and in your jobs. As far as improving the world we live in, that's another beautiful thing that industrial engineers can do. I mentioned sustainability. And right now, and I'd say over the last decade, sustainability and sustainable organizations has become a real important element, not just for big companies, but for small ones. We have a sustainability division. And so if you want to make sure that the world is a better, safer, cleaner environment to live in, we've got a division of people who focus solely on that. And one thing they do every year at the annual conference, for example, is they sponsor an activity that with a local group, wherever the conference is being held, and that enables them to go out and practice industrial engineering. Maybe it's a food bank, maybe it's cleaning up an area, maybe it's practicing putting our skills to work in ways that do make the world better. And if you know industrial engineering, and I know as students you all do, efficiency, effectiveness, quality, all those are keywords in making the world better, not just in making companies more successful.
True, we can have many industrial engineers in politics, in many fields, medicine, also in many things that are super important. Jose Carlos Gallegos is asking, for a member who just started studying, what is the best advice you can give to get the most out of the membership? Because I believe we don't know much about the profession when we're starting. So how can we get the most out of it?
I think what you can do, your chapter is 20 years old, and as we saw, you win awards every year. So your chapter is a very actively engaged chapter. So one of the best things you can do is to begin to go to the chapter meetings, and I'm sure that chapter is looking for leaders of their own. We're always looking for volunteer leaders. So when you have a chance to get out there, maybe you're going to host an event, a training course, or a conference. Facilitate that, lead that, make it happen. And the best thing to do, and really that does two things. It develops your leadership skills, but it helps you build that network because you get to know so many more people. I know when I was a student a long time ago, it's sometimes kind of hard to get to know your fellow classmates because you work on some projects together. You may go out after class and do something, but really we've all got our own lives. But if you're out there actively engaged in a group like an IISE student chapter, you're learning about the profession and you're building the network. I still stay in touch. I got a call just on Sunday from someone I went to school with that was an IISE member when I was at Georgia Tech. So you will always have that network to lean on and to call on, and you just can't beat. There's nothing better than having a professional network in every way that will help you in your career, will help you learn about the profession as you're starting out. And another thing I want to suggest to you, we have a mentoring program at IISE, and I reach out to our membership department and they can put you in touch with some mentors who are older members that are willing and able to volunteer and to help guide you in your progression, both as a student and after you graduate. We've got mentors who are offering to give back. They want to help our younger members and our student members get off on the right foot. So our mentoring program is another opportunity in IISE to get started and to be to build some good relationships that will help guide you as you make decisions.
Okay, Edwin Dore is asking, as industrial and systems engineers, what can we do to reduce the impact of companies on the environment and reduce global warming?
Excellent question. And the good thing is that companies themselves are discovering how important that is. And as I mentioned in my presentation, what they're learning is it's not just good for society, it's good business. It helps them control their costs, which is always something they're focused on. And I mentioned sustainability, and sustainability is really all about better using resources in more efficient ways that do impact global warming and the environment. So if you're an IISE member, our sustainability division focuses on that. We have an entire track at the annual conference that focuses on sustainability. And it's really just a matter of getting involved after you graduate, probably, in whatever company you're working in and learning what their focus is in the area of sustainability and getting engaged in that. And your skills as an industrial engineer will make you valuable to that team and to that company. And here again, you'll be using skills that might not be traditional industrial engineering education, but you'll be using them in a different way that'll make you more valuable in your job.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Luis Casas, we have many questions. Luis Casas is asking, is Georgia Tech the best institute to get a master's degree related to industrial engineering?
Well, I have to say yes.
Because it's on record. No, I'm just kidding.
There are a lot of good schools. There are a lot of good schools all over the world. Georgia Tech happens to be the biggest, at least in the United States, in industrial engineering, and I think they're the biggest in the world. Monterey Tech is also very large in Mexico, and Georgia Tech has campuses around the world. I'm not sure what their connection is in Central America, but I know they are active. They actually have a connection to Monterey Tech at Mexico. They're active in China. Georgia Tech, because of their size, and they're well known, they're renowned, but there are a lot of good ones. I mean, I'm more familiar with those in the United States than those in other parts of the world. But you can look in, U.S. News and World Report publishes rankings of programs. They separate their rankings by undergraduate and graduate programs. So if you just want to look for the graduate programs, you can see those rankings. But Georgia Tech is number one. They are the top ranked program, but I think that's as much evidence of their size than anything else. They're much larger than anybody else, at least in the United States. So they're good. I'm not just saying that because it's my alma mater. They're a very good school.
We have another question from Rodrigo Sosa T. We, as students, what are the most valuable opportunities from an educational perspective we can take for our future professional life?
I would say get a varied education as much as you can. That's one of the shortcomings of some engineering programs. And it's probably not as bad now as it was when I was in school. Industrial engineers graduate with excellent technical skills. We're good at math. We're good at operations research. We're good at systems modeling. We're good at information technology. Sometimes we're not so good at people skills. We're not so good at presentations. We're not so good at speaking. We're not so good at working in teams. So take every chance you can to broaden your education beyond the technical skills. We love the technical skills and we're good at them. That's why we became engineers to start with. But when you graduate, you're going to discover when you begin to work out in companies that you're going to be thrown in with some cross-functional teams of non-engineers. Maybe they're English majors, maybe they're writers, maybe they're marketing people, maybe they're business majors. They may not understand all the technical things you throw at them, and you've got to be able to communicate both to your supervisors and superiors as well as your peers your good ideas in ways they understand and they embrace. Otherwise, your good ideas will be for naught because they'll be ignored. So I would say improve your communication skills and get a broad educational base that goes beyond engineering.
Okay, thank you. I think we're done with the question. Ah, no, wait, there's another one. How do you picture an industrial and systems engineering job in 20 years from now?
Oh gosh, 20 years ago, I certainly didn't see where we are today. Maybe in 20 years we'll be running the world. I don't know, and it'll be a better place. But um, I think we're going to continue to progress. I think we're going to continue to contribute and be valuable in every area of industry and academia. I mean, right now, for example, one of the companies in the world that is making a difference is Apple. I think we all know Apple. Their CEO is an industrial engineer.
Mhm.
Uh, and that's true of a lot of other companies. Walmart just recently had an industrial engineer. UPS had an industrial engineer. So General Motors had an industrial engineer. There are some presidents of some countries that are industrial engineers. So industrial engineers, I think, are natural leaders. And I mentioned engineers and their lack of people skills. Industrial engineers are ahead of a lot of the other engineering disciplines in that area because of our coursework. So I think industrial engineers are natural leaders, and many of them are successful. So I think we're going to just continue to become leaders and influencers in the world. And let's face it, quality, improve effectiveness, efficiency are always going to be important traits. Logistics, supply chain, cost control, those are the things we're best at. Projections, forecasting, and we're good at it. That we're better than anybody else. So I think you'll keep seeing industrial engineers progressing as more and more people begin to recognize the value that we bring.